I'm not a depressed person, but my situation was depressing. And we can all have that at any point in our life. And we are very quick to give a pill for an antidepressant or an anti-anxiety instead of really looking at what the problem is. And here I am. I'm this wellness and health expert. I have this all dialed in to be the most healthy person. And I was so unhealthy to the point that I got sick, and the doctors couldn't figure out what it was. We did every single test known to man. They were looking to see if it was cancer. They were looking, you right, like we tried everything and they couldn't figure it out. And one of my doctors said he knew that I was in a very abusive, controlling relationship. And he said to me, you know, your partner is what's causing this. And I was like,
Wow, very powerful. Knowing that your relationship with someone is actually the cause of you being sick. Hi, I'm Marilyn D. Fitzgerald, and welcome to the Spirit of a Winner podcast show, where we have conversations about resiliency, personal and spiritual growth, and empowerment to rise and shine. And today's topic is, are you letting your relationships make you sick? If you don't have a pen or piece of paper to write on, I suggest you get one, because we're going to do a deep dive today on the relationships and how they affect our health. And did you know that 75% of primary care doctor visits, studies said, that are related to stress issues? If you're having headaches, if you're having digestive issues, if you're having some issues with your body, you do want to stay tuned in to this podcast today. One of the things that it affects is, when it comes to our bodies, stress-wise, is our cortisol levels. And what is that? It's a hormone that is produced by our adrenal glands that help us when we're dealing with stressful situations. If the cortisol level is too high, for my weight loss people who want to release weight and wonder why it's an issue, if it's too, it creates fat storage. And oftentimes, for me working with clients, it stores around the abdominal area. When it does that, it's around your organs, which they call as your visceral fat. And that number, if you are working with someone in the health and fitness space, should give you that number. And if it's high, when I work with clients, we try to get that number low by several ways and methods that I work with clients. Yeah, cortisol levels increase. So if you're struggling with weight release and just wondering, hey, I'm working out, and wondering why your weight hasn't changed at all, that could be the one reason, is your stress level. When we talk about relationships, what about the relationship not only with others, but what about yourselves? I want to keep that in mind, because we're going to look at both relationship with others and with ourselves. A weakened immune system is another symptom that is caused by stress. When we are stressed, there's a constriction of the body. The body is out of balance. The body is always trying to bring itself back into balance. When it's out of balance, one thing it does is it constricts the muscles in your body. You might have tension that's in your shoulders, behind your neck. Also, the weakened immune system, you might find that you're sick more often when you're under high levels of stress. Note that even though you might be taking vitamins, when the body is in that fight or flight situations, in that stress, it does take double the amount of nutrition to prevent some illnesses from taking place. Hey, I'm getting sick a lot and I'm taking nutritional products. I just don't know why. You have to double up. And the next one is your digestive system and your sleep. When we're under a lot of stress, our digestive system is compromised, because when the stress levels are high, the emotion is high, the constriction of the restriction of the digestive system starts to tighten up. So therefore, the movement of the food slows down in the digestive tract. If you find that you are not going to the bathroom as much, during these stressful times, it's one of the reasons why is because there's a lot of muscle tightness in that abdominal area that the movement of the food is not going through your body. If you sleep when you're under a lot of stress, your sleep might be like you're not sleeping a full night, or you sleep, but you wake up not being able to go back to sleep as easy as you had in the past. You get to check out where you are with those three areas in terms of your body. But let's talk about your relationships. Sometimes when we experience criticism or judgment from other people, it affects us emotionally. Sit down and you get to write down, who is it in your life that is maybe criticizing you? It could be work relationship, it could be a spouse, it could be a partner, that you're not getting positive feedback or having a positive conversation with that person. But also we look at judgment. People are comparing themselves to others, particularly in the workplace where you have the competition going on. When I talk to clients who, particularly women, and they're dealing with a male dominating environment, it could be very critical. It could be very judgmental, depending on the males involved. I've noticed in working with high tech level people, they find that very high in their work environments. Let's talk about the criticisms of self. What I didn't know and I know now that after learning how the mind works is that, have you ever been in a situation where you were wanting to find an answer? You were in a situation and you're like, I need to know, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. I got to figure it out. And you couldn't figure it out. And what happened? You beat yourself up. You called yourself weren't good enough. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I couldn't find the answer. That is a self-inflicted emotional wound to yourself. It's not an outside influence, it's a self. I encourage you to stop doing that. When I learned about how the mind works, I needed to stop doing this. That if the mind does not know an answer, you don't want to influence the beatdown of something that can't give you the answer. And if you ever continue working with either me or looking at some further shows, we're going to talk about how the mind works. Stop the beat down, whether it's physical, your physical body, or just something that you just can't find an answer for it to it. Just stop. Take a time out and don't do it. When we talk about anxiety, is this something that is causing anxiety in your life? Is it somebody that you're around or that's causing anxiety? Who is it? I want you to write down your relationships with either your coworkers, family, or friends. Sit down and just do assessment if your interactions with people and how you're feeling. Are you feeling anxiety? Are you feeling not happy? Those are just small symptoms of when you're not happy after you leave a conversation. Those just a little, like small little like symptoms, like internally you're bothered. There's some anger there. Emotional manipulation. Do you have any people in the workplace that are trying to control you? The bullies, any bullies, or people who want to say, if it's not my way, you can't do this. Look at those relationships, but also again, look at the relationship with yourself. Now we get to talk about the steps on how do you deal with after you look at the people, your reactions, how it's affecting you. Let's talk about some boundaries we need to take. If you are in a work situation and you are a person who just can't say no to situations as far as tasks, I have many times dealt with people who are people pleasers. It might be not by you, that just is hard for them to say no. When you say, when you hard, as if it's hard to you to say no, you're saying yes to them, but no to yourself, meaning it's not self love. And so this is where you get to really say, hey, you know what? I'm important. And when you put yourself first, when you say it's important to me to say no because I care about my health. So start setting boundaries around the topic of when you want to help somebody, when you want to do something, and you feel like if there's a conflict, it's okay to say no to them and yes to you. Set some boundaries as it relates to how do you want to feel and how do you want to look. As it relates to cortisol levels, increasing fat storage goes up. You get to set a boundaries as to how do you want to feel and how do you want to look. I'm grateful to be at a body weight that has been pretty stable now for many years. This is where I get to coach people and help them to say, you need to set a boundaries when it comes to your health and wellness. And to realize that when you allow certain things to start to affect your health, then you need to take a time out because you set health and wellness as one of your top priorities. And then limiting your exposure to drain people. If this is a work environment that you're dealing with and you have to be in this environment with those people, limit the time that you are with those people. Take a time out after you've had an interaction with those people to do some deep breathing and resettle yourself back into your body and release whatever tension that you experience from that relationship. Just allow yourself to take some deep breath and release that and don't let it hold in your body. And spend more time with positive support. If it's a work environment, identify a few people at work that you might be able to have a good positive reinforcement of taking care of yourself or not letting things bother you or just being able to talk out things that you are holding on to. Talk to somebody that you can open up to at least have a conversation of how you feel and how you would like things to be better. And they might even give you some suggestions, but don't do it alone. Don't continue being in a stressful environment or in dealing with people without getting external help and support. Let's build a trust circle. If you have friends and family that you could talk to, just find a trust circle, create some meetup groups, or reach out to some coaches that support you that you can just have a conversation. And so let's do a recap real quick. We talked about relationships. We talked about how it affects your health. We mentioned about cortisol levels and how it can affect fat storage and how it can prevent you from losing weight. We talked about a weakened immune system, how when you're under a lot of stress, how you can get easily sick because your vitamins are being robbed and taken away if you take vitamins and you don't take enough. Or two, how it suppresses the immune system, period. And then we talked about digestive system. When you are under high levels of stress, your digestive muscles, the intestines contract, which reduces the slow movement of food that's going through the digestive tract. And we gave you basically suggestions on really saying no to others and saying yes to yourself, limiting your exposure to people who drain you, but also looking at yourself personally. Are you beating yourself up if you can't find the right answer? If you're in situations where it's challenge and you don't know a way out and you beat yourself up, or you're using food as a way to cover up how you feel. I hope you got some great tips from today's podcast. And if you like what you heard and saw today, can you like, share, and subscribe? It would help us to get the word out to other people and grow the channel. If you like some additional tips, we have a free guide for you. Comment healthy relationships, and we'll send it out to you free. I'll see you on our next show.